Well, how about that? Here we are, man.
Welcome back to the neighborhood.
I got some crazy audio going on here.
Well, I can't say if it's my fault, but yeah, it just might be. There's a pretty good chance I'm everything you say about me. So I'll own it all, take it on the cheek, and slowly walk away. I'm not sure what you're thinking. There's one thing you can't take. You can have my time.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Durand Robinson to the 4th edition of Lyic Podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Beautiful sunny day in Birmingham.
It is. Now, I was going to go live on Instagram. I'm not sure if that took place or not. So we'll see. So the way this thing works is like you can spit it out so many different ways, and I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm glad you're here, man. We've been talking about doing something like this for a long time.
Yep.
I know for a fact we talked about doing this about 3 years ago, and with all your expertise in recording and production, and it never materialized. So finally, I just said, you know what? I'll just do it myself. If you're not going to do it, well, I'll do it. So here we are.
Just blame me. That's fine. I don't mind.
Well, so before we get rolling and all this, we've got a lot of stuff planned to show. And I'll try not to make this a 3-hour video, though it very well could be, with all the stuff that we've done over the past several years. I would say 2017 maybe.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I think I came here in 2016. Met the next year. Yeah.
And it's been pretty consistent too. For those of you that don't know, Durand right here is a fantastic songwriter. He's a great friend, but he's also Durand's one of these guys that's been around the world more times than you can count. He moved to Birmingham. I'm not sure what year. I'll let you kind of go through that, but Durand, just kind of give everybody a little background real quick.
Yeah, no, I was out in Colorado and doing mainly video production and songwriting stuff, and then had an illness in the family, and so we moved back to Birmingham to help out, and that was in 2016. And we had the pleasure of moving into your neighborhood, which we didn't know you from Adam, but it sure worked out. So yeah, that was fun.
It worked out well. I had seen several things in a local songwriting community that you had pieced together, and it put out, and it kind of followed a little bit what you guys were doing. And a funny story was, when I was doing this, and when I had first started writing songs, I was writing songs basically by myself, which is not a terrible thing, but you end up, when you write with a co-writer, you end up getting a different flavor to the song, and also you get quite the improvement in the amount of ideas that can come across, even though they may not be yours. It was very beneficial, and I had co-written. Don't get me wrong, I'd co-written before, but I'd found just kind of doing it by myself. But what I discovered is when you write it by yourself and you don't run it past anyone, and you're like maybe too much pride or whatever, and you listen to the song when you're finished, like, yeah, that's good enough, let's put it out, and you rush to put it out, and then you start to notice all the things that are wrong with it, which is the case right now with one of my first albums. There's about 3 or 4 songs on there that I'm just I don't like them, and it's not because the songs are okay, I guess, but I go back and I analyze the lyrics behind some of these, and I realized that I needed someone else to listen to this and go, man, that don't make any sense. Do you kind of get the same thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I have a folder in my songwriting part of my computer that's called Selfie Co-Writes, Me, Myself, and I, and those are the ones that I always feel like I need to run by somebody, because it came to your mind, so it has to be true, just like you heard it on the internet, so it has to be true, right? It has to be right. That is until you get somebody else with different fresh ears or ideas. And then all of a sudden, when you start co-writing, I don't know, it's just like you get to tell a story together, and I get to tell it from two perspectives instead of one for us to be able to work on it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd done some co-writing, but until I'd come to Birmingham, I really hadn't done a ton.
Well, and I'll talk a little bit about our unique songwriting relationship and how it works, because it's different. When I write with you, it's different than when I write with other people. That's probably across the board with everybody. But you and I have a unique relationship in terms of the way we put a song together. Real quick, talk about. So I met you in a face-to-face. I was playing a show in McCalla, Alabama, at a place. A lot of folks that listen to this may know, because you may have been there, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And why we're both smiling right now, I had a Wednesday. Every Wednesday night, I was playing a show at the Green Lantern in McCalla, Alabama.
Yeah,
and Green Lantern is just a little hole in the wall. Yeah, I think at the time, and I think it's closed now, just recently. But it was the longest running bar in the state of Alabama. From I think 1920s. And right now it's just a brick building. But the unique thing about the Green Lantern is that it is way out there. You can also smoke in this establishment, and there wasn't a ton of ventilation. And
like none.
And Durand, you had reached out to me and like, hey man, I'd like to come see you play. And it's like, oh yeah, come on out. And I got to thinking, oh man, here we go. Like, I hope Durand's a smoker.
He's not.
And so it was a lot of fun though. And I think that's kind of where all this began. So, to go ahead, I guess, to dive into this, from if anybody's watching, and it's hard for me to tell. If you're here, just leave a quick comment so I can see who's listening. I see Lisa and Aubrey. Hey, Aubs. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. But the idea behind this album has been going for a couple of years, but a lot of things happened since 2018 to get to this point. And it was, I think that, when you piece together an album, especially like the 70s and 80s, you had a theme. And this is one of those things where there wasn't a really theme to this album. Desperado, that entire album, the Eagles, there was a theme to it, and that we got away from that here recently because people are putting out singles. So initially the plan was, when I had just signed a record label a little over a year ago, I was going to be putting out, a few singles at a time. And without going into just a big amount of details that are completely unnecessary unless people ask, it just kind of fell on its face. And so these songs have just been sitting around. We had a plan in place. Big Bass Problem, for example, which you and I wrote together.
Yeah.
It was going to be the prequel to the first song that we wrote several songs together. This is the first real song that I think that we put some effort behind. So when all those songs didn't go out, they've just been sitting around. So I finally just decided, who's going to stop me? Let's go ahead and put it out. Hey, Phil. Hey, Lisa. Susan's here. I'm glad y'all are here. So I just want to tell so I'm going to talk just a little bit about the first single that we really put out together, and I'll let you kind of elaborate. One of the interesting things about Durand is that Durand is one of those people that can listen to something and immediately analyze it, which is something that I can do to a certain extent. But I'm more of a melody kind of person. So I hear a hook and a melody, and I'll kind of piece that together, and I'll have the kind of general idea, and then I lay it down in front of me and I go, all right, I got it. Now what? And sometimes I just sit there and look at it on my laptop or paper or however I put it together. So it doesn't always happen that way. But what I've discovered with Durand is that I can put something on paper and say, okay, look, man, this is the best I can do fix it. And then within 12 hours, I'll get something back from Durand that's an absolute masterpiece in terms of how it's analyzed and how it's pieced together. And it's not that we always write that way, but I've discovered that that's when I have an idea. Remember that, what was that commercial back in the 80s? That was it, the BASF commercial, where they just, there's people out there that can just make what you got and just make it shine, make it better. Which is kind of how You Can't Have My Boat was born. So we're going to talk about third. We got 5 songs we're going to talk about, and I'll let Durand just kind of elaborate on a few of these things and some of the ideas that he had. First, I want to play this real quick. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. You heard this kind of on intro, so listen to this just for a second.
On the water, you can't have my boat. Come on.
All right.
Yeah. So the first time I heard him do this, I think Blake Shelton and Jackson 5 have had a baby.
And that's kind of how it's basically what we did with it. Well, it's some people have heard the story probably 1,000 times in the show, but I'm going to tell it anyway. And I always kept a guitar in my 7th grade science classroom, which is where Durand and I would really work the majority of our songs. Durand would come up to the school. We would sit down on my break every now and then, and we would piece things together when I had some time off. And I had given one day I had given the class just give me some ideas for songs, and the words "You Can't Have My Boat" came out, and I wrote it down, and I was like, okay, so let's go ahead and put this. I'll put it down. Let's get on with the next day comes along. I hadn't done anything with it. Basically, kind of forgot about it, and they kept. 1 or 2 kids would come in, and they would kind of overemphasize in their true Alabama Southern dialect, "You can't have my boat." When are you gonna write that song, Mr. Abernathy? And it was just daily. But if I were to ask you, not knowing the song, and I were to ask you, Durand, write a song right now about "You Can't Have My Boat," what are you gonna write it about?
Not a clue.
I mean,
Not a clue.
The only thing from experience, the only thing I could think of was, maybe this song's about a divorce. I don't know.
That's when it started.
So I thought, well, I've kind of been there, done that before. Let's maybe we should write about that. But then, the professional side of me was like, but these 7th graders, and do they really want to know all this stuff that happens in the adult world about boats and divorces and people taking different things? And finally, I just look, they keep writing. This is the only thing I cannot think of any other way to frame that song. So that's how it was born. It was about a boat and a divorce. So a couple more interesting things. I took this song to a local friend of mine, a musician who heard this song, and he was like, "Man, you got to do something with that." And by this time, I think you and I had probably already refined. This is the day that Alan Park came to the house. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we kind of fooled around with it. But to back up, because I meant to mention this, how did you heard the song, or you heard kind of the preliminary idea for the song? How did you kind of get involved?
Well, there was a particular section, which I will not name, in the song that I had an idea that it just needed tweaking.
Yeah.
And so I called you up. I said, "Robert, I don't know what you think about this, because I know you feel like we got this song to bed, but what would you think about doing this? And a lot of our songs have either happened with me in the car or you in the car. And half the time it's with you headed to the studio going, hey, do you think these lyrics are ready? Because I'm about to record them in about 30 minutes. So what do you think? And
well, so the interesting thing that happened, there's so much I want to tell about the song. We just don't have enough time to do it. But we took the short stories. We took the song to the studio, and they recorded the song. And they came back to me as like, man, look, this is good, but for this song, it's not good enough. And I thought that was very selfless of some musicians and an engineer and producer to go, this song is better than what we can do.
Yeah.
That
was cool.
It was very professional. I appreciated their honesty. And so what I did is I followed their instructions. We took it to Josh Bright. I never met him before. We took 2 songs. I'll share the other one later. And I took it to Josh. But before I did, I had sent this to Josh Turner's guitar player. His name is John Shaw. He lives in Nashville. And I was introduced to him through another producer. And I sent him the song and I said, look, I want it to be kind of Jackson 5. Oh, baby, give me one more chance. That little, you know, and I wanted people to listen to it and want to move. So I sent it to him and I said, it's a country song, but I need it to have a Jackson 5 feel to it. And he came back with send me the guitar parts. It was great. And then I forwarded it over to Josh. Josh kind of worked some magic, put everything together. And we went and recorded this thing. And I remember when I was in the studio, just to finish the vocals, the first thing I did was got on the phone with you. Was like, man, you got to hear this.
Something happened. Yeah.
This is cool. And it survived ever since then. Yeah. But another really interesting story about this. Now, you're not going to be able to hear any audio for about 10 seconds. Because what I got to do is I have to remove myself and Durand from the stage to show this photo because the way this works. All right, so I'm going to remove Durand. You're not going to be able to hear anything I say in just a second, Durand. Well, hang on, let me find the photo first. And I'm hoping you'll be able to see the photo. Were you able to see the photos earlier when I put with it? Yeah. Okay. All right, then you should be able to see this. This is a very important photo. And I'll let you explain, Durand, when you see it, why, and it's an important photo. Okay, I'm removing Durand from the stage and removing me. 10 seconds. Look at this photo, right? All right, y'all can't see it anymore. Durand, explain that photo.
Well, it turned out that, during the first couple of months of us getting to know each other, you ended up joining in with Nashville Songwriters. And they have an annual kind of a competition to who's going to get the best song out of, Nashville Songwriters Association goes like literally around the world. And they have this competition where each of the chapters submits a song. And so we talked about it and decided, hey, let's see what people do with this song because we're the only ones that have heard it so far. Why not? And we put it in, and everybody in our chapter agreed that's the one they wanted to send forward. And then it just so happened that the president or director, what's Bart?
I'm not sure. I guess it would be the president.
He's the grand poobah of NSAI. Turned out that we were having him down for a special kind of meet the chapter thing, and he was coming through from Atlanta and then going back to Nashville. And he was in, and he got to hear the song, and then afterwards he pulled us aside. He goes, "This is the strongest song I've ever heard come out of a chapter in my life. This thing, this needs to go forward. Somebody needs to cut this. Why don't you call me on Monday?" And I'm going, "What?" And Robert's going, is this going to go somewhere? What's going to happen here? We don't know. Bart's the one in the middle there,
Yeah.
next to the guy with the hat. Well, two hats, I guess there are.
Yeah, and the fellow beside him to Bart in the middle, which is
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth person to the right, what's his name? Tomlin, who had written songs for Diamond Rio. Like, it's just incredible.
Great writer.
Group. But I remember the things that popped in my mind was they were sitting in the very front, we were in the back, and they were playing this for the chapter. And see, there's Billy McDowell there, number 3 to the right there. He had another song that was there that day.
Well, he actually won from a different chapter. He was just up to meet with Bart.
Right. Well, and by the way, and Billy was also a co-writer on this album as well for several songs, which I'll have him on at another point. But anyway, they both stood up in a crowd of people and turned around and looked at and like, who wrote that song? And I didn't know if they were going to throw something at me and you or be like, that was great.
We weren't sure.
But no, it was a great moment. They wanted to be the champion of that song, and they really did. They called the next day and was wanting to connect with us and try to get the song out there, which is a tremendous honor.
Yeah.
And the song kind of has always been one that I've done live. I've done this song live. Anybody that plays with me typically is prepared to do this song at least once during a show, just because it's a cool vibe. It's a lot of fun, but it never got pushed, and it was supposed to. In fact, Big Bass Problem was supposed to be the prequel to this song. We had shot the music. We actually have a music video of the song that I'm never going to show anybody. It was a rainy day. I was wearing the same outfit intentionally from Big Bass Problem for this video. But we got to thinking, if you didn't know that this was, if Big Bass Problem was the prequel to You Can't Have a Boat, the video really didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
And so for that, we didn't put it out. We had a big crowd out there that day. It was a crazy event. We had a huge event that day with a record label that just tried to make a huge scene out of just one big, huge spectacle that day. But we never put the video out. And the other reason is because I think this would be a fun video to do, and that didn't really do it justice. So I think we're going to be probably doing that a little bit later, just kind of keep it alive. But at any rate, that was Big Bass Problem. Excuse me, that was You Can't Have My Boat. It's always been a fun one to do. Now I'm going to move forward a little bit. So, because we have 5 songs to talk about that Durand had written. The next one was we'll actually talk about Big Bass Problem, which was it came about in a very interesting way as well. Let's listen to just a little piece of this real quick.
Hey Siri, text my wife, please.
What do you want to say?
I called in sick, but I feel so alive. This lake was worth the 2-hour drive. There's not a cloud hanging round in the sky. In this boat, there's not a happier guy. There's just something about being alone. It makes me never want to answer my phone. Hey, I've got a big bass problem. I don't know what to do.
All right, so there it was. And see what happened, what we did, and we really didn't realize we were doing it as we were writing the song.
No.
We got to thinking about it because in You Can't Have My Boat, we don't know what the guy did. We don't know what kind of mess he got in trouble. What caused this, and we got to think, well, it's obvious. He has a big bass problem. So we ended up connecting those 2 songs in the music video that no one will ever see but me and Durand. The video actually begins with You Can't Have My Boat. Actually picks up me getting off a boat from Big Bass Problem, answering my phone. And so anyway, but Big Bass Problem was fun in that Alex, my son, had given me the idea for the song. He was actually on drill one weekend, and the phrase well, you got a big bass problem came up. And he immediately, like a lot of people do, sent me a text message like, hey, I got a great idea for a song. Or actually, in his case, it was just big bass problem was all he had on his phone. And then I was like, do what? And he said, just write that song. So I didn't write it for a while, or didn't work on it, didn't come back to it. And then finally one day, I think I just sat down and started working ideas. And then what I do, I call Durand up after I have the idea. And I don't know, how many revisions you think we went through on that song?
Quite a few, but I mean, that first day we were able to track a whole lot of it, though.
Yeah.
In fairness, I mean, we got the basic storyline in there pretty good, but then we wanted to. I mean, it's just too good of a hook to waste.
Yeah.
You know, so we worked hard on it.
It was a fun song. It was lighthearted, which is something I like to tackle. Those kind of songs as much as possible, just to be on the lighter side of things. But the other interesting thing that happened with the song was the record label that I was under at the time had the vision for the song. That was the one right away that he was like, that's the one we want to do. We want to do Big Bass Problem first. And we were supposed to release it in December. It was right around Christmas time. And it started getting close to that time. There was no productions being done. There was no let's see what this is right here. I was trying to see that, whatever that is.
It's a picture of some sort. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Anyway. But anyway, nothing was really done on the promotional end of things. And so we decided to push it out to January 13th. We were going to push it out on Friday of 2023. Again, there was no promotion put behind it. So we finally had reached out to a video production or video marketing team that kind of put it out. And it did well for the most part. But as with the rest of the songs, there was just not people living up to their end of things in the music business world that I had just entered. And so the song just kind of, I mean, it was good. It was out there, but it didn't do what we wanted to do. You know, we were supposed to follow it back up in the spring with You Can't Have My Boat. We were sitting on the music video again, but the video production company that we used was also not paid by the record label. And so now the video that we did put out was paid, but the rest of it wasn't. So they had spent that entire day working, or not the entire day, but most of it for nothing. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't have been happy about it either. But that was kind of the mess that was going on there. I feel like we had a really good product. So we had the song out there. It was going to be part of an album, as was You Can't Have My Boat. We actually had You Can't Have My Boat out on radio and pulled it off because we were going to be coming back and putting some more money behind it. And that never happened. So You Can't Have My Boat has really not even been out there for forever. But that was in 2023. But it was a good song. It was a fun song. If you guys have not seen it, you can find it. Did you find that file?
That's all right. I think that's my sister.
Okay.
I think, or actually, my brother-in-law trying to send me a picture of my sister. He said it's in the family because they both have bass problems.
Yeah. Well, we did some great things with some other, with on the bass end of things, the Bass Pro end of things. We shot it at Mark's Outdoors, that were fantastic to us that day.
That was so fun. That was so fun.
No, it was a great day. If you haven't seen the video, check it out. I get tased in this video, and we had to shoot that twice. But it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it, but it's a great song. Glad to be able to include that one on this album as well. So I'm going to move forward here. And I really want to spend just a few minutes to talk about the next one, because this one was me going down the interstate, which I wrote a lot of songs driving back and forth from Birmingham and Nashville. But I was in there and I thought, I want to write a song that's this is outside the box, something I wouldn't do. This is not going to be a funny song. I need to write a song about something serious in nature. And so I did, and I captured this song. This was well before Wait in the Truck came out by Hardy. Same kind of
Story,
theme.
right?
Yeah, it's very similar nature than how but I wanted something like that before I even heard that song. And this was born right here. So I'll play part of this and explain how this came to be as well. I'll Bless the Gun.
Well, I never heard Mama cry, but sometimes in the night I'd hear her tremble when she speak, saying, "Son, don't let the bruises fool you, Mama ain't weak." Another shot of whiskey in Daddy's glass. Said, "Son, go to your bedroom and let this pass." Torn between fight and run, Lord, heal the pain or bless the gun.
All right, so that's verse and chorus of a song titled Bless the Gun. So many things about this.
Gosh.
First of all, and Durand would be the first to tell you, a lot of the songs that you write, that I've heard you write, and these songs that I'm not a part of, are heartbreak songs.
Yeah.
You know, like, even though you don't dish out or receive a ton of heartbreak in your personal life,
people ask me why I'm so good at writing heartbreaks when I've only been married for 45 years.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I do, because so many of my friends go through it. And I think part of what we're doing when we're writing, and I think that's a big part of it, is some people's stories just need to be told,
Yeah.
And so if you can feel for people, you can write for them, I think that's how it works.
Yeah, and on this one, on Bless the Gun, this was not from any kind of personal experience. If you've listened to the song yet, you know that when you get to the end of the song, there's we had written this to with a definite ending to the song that you would know what happened in the song.
And maybe just a quick second on that. When we're writing it too, I mean, this is the kind of song where, when we got together to write, we were writing a movie. We weren't writing a song. And so you have to figure out how you're going to end the story,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and for the most part, we did. We wanted to write a song that dealt with something that people, experience on a daily basis, and whether it's an abusive relationship or just some type of trauma, whether as a kid or as a spouse. And we told the story of this from both ends. And this did go through several revisions. And the biggest thing is I remember specifically writing the song going, okay, this could be a controversial song. In fact, to fast forward a little bit, I was going to put this song out sometime around the summer, but it was right after the Covenant school shooting in Nashville. And I thought, no, absolutely no way. I'm going to put out a song right now called Bless the Gun. Even though it doesn't deal with that aspect of a gun, this song is not about necessarily a gun. It's really more about the hardship that people go through in an abusive relationship, and just like kind of like Wait in the Truck. When Wait in the Truck told the story from a little bit different perspective. But what happened is we wrote the song, and it's not necessarily revenge. It's just to the point to where you listen to it and listen to the lyrics, you go, okay, somebody's had enough. And initially it was Mom's had enough. Son, go to your bedroom and let this pass. She's wanting to hide things away from him that he shouldn't see. And she tells him to go to his bedroom a couple times, which led us. And initially, when we wrote the song, it was like, that's why he's going to the bedroom. Ultimately, she's going to put an end to this. That was version A. Then version B was, what if the son, we don't know his age, what if the son did this? And so we wrote the song to that. So we had to tweak a few things. And then we ultimately ended up in a place where no, we want people to listen to the song and not know exactly who it was. And that's why at the end of the song, still a lot of rumors around our town. Mama's doing fine, daddy's in the ground. Still a lot of rumors in this town. And we left that open so people would be like, wait, hey, who did it? Now, we've talked about shooting a music video of this, and if we do, I want this to be a movie, and do it justice at the end of this. But do you remember like where you were when this song? I kind of brought you this idea.
I was actually at work, and I just had to stop because this was too much. This was something I'd never done as well. Just needed to work on it.
No, it was definitely something new that I had done, and I knew that it could possibly be something that could be considered controversial, but I felt like it was worth it. Sometimes things like this is worth the risk of doing, to writing this. I didn't want to be the flagship. Now, what I didn't want to happen, and is to be like the guy, the poster child for justifying, people.
Taking people out,
or shooting up, an abusive partner or family member. I didn't want that to happen, but I felt like the story was sometimes, especially in country music, it's so easy to write story songs, and I find myself doing that a good bit. And so that was kind of how Bless the Gun was pieced together. It was a lot of fun to put it together. I took that to a different studio where I know did. Actually, Josh Bright did not produce this one, but I did take it to him for him to mix, because I'd gotten a mix back from the studio that recorded this, and I felt like it really could use some of Josh's professional touches to it. And so what you hear is actually the mix put together was by Josh. But one of my favorite songs on the album for sure. And it will be one that we'll spend some time pushing down the road. So anything else you want to add about this one before I go back to one of our favorites?
No, I mean, I'm just like you say, it's one of those things. It's like, it's hard, some things are hard to talk about. And I think this song is hard to talk about because, domestic violence pushes people to do things they don't want to do.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And that's a tragedy. And I hope that what it does is it makes you uncomfortable enough to try to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, that's really what the song. Yeah. Ultimately, I hope that's the response that people get.
All right, I'm going to move. I'm going to go back in time because this is one of the first two songs that I actually took to Josh Bright. This was also back in 2018 that the song was written. We put it together, and it was written in an airplane. It was written on the ground, but I'll let him tell the little story behind this. But I'm going to play for this. This is called Wasted.
Like a weekend free, hoping you'll see me, but you won't pick up. Should I just give up? Wasting like it's quiet night and with the moon so bright, sitting all alone. Girl, pick up the phone. I'm gonna find out. I need to know how to turn off what I've been doing inside this heart for so long.
There you go. There's.
Oh man, I love that
Wasted.
song.
That's a good one right there. I really like that one. I think that was one of Kathy. Yep, Kathy. I knew that was one of yours and Mac's favorites. So I'll have to kind of just head this one off again, and I'll let you finish because this one was written. It was unique in how it was written. I kind of already had the track for the most part, so I had everything sculpted out and how it's going to be. And I wanted to tell a story about somebody that just spends, a lot of time or invests in a relationship, and maybe it's not reciprocated somewhere, it doesn't work out. Morgan Wallen, actually, after I had written this song,
Shame on him.
came out with a song called "Wasted on You," which really I remember after we had already recorded this and done it and put it out. That that song came out, and I thought, shame. I like ours better anyway.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Ours is better.
But it's it tells a similar story, "Wasted on You," but it's I had come up with the idea. I think one of the biggest things I had at the time was the idea behind the song, some lyrics, and the melody. I had the melody solid, and I knew exactly. I think I even may have had the chorus written, but the verses were not. And I remember coming to you and say, "Help again."
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, so I mean, I was literally I was going out to Seattle to see family, and you sent me this thing like in the morning. It was like, here's the kind of the track, and I want you to hear this chorus and see what you can come up with. And I said, okay. I mean, I got to sit in the airport anyway, and then sitting in the airplane, and so I went the first leg to Kansas City. I worked on it. I did a rough draft, and I also did some tweaking on the chorus, to which I was severely chastised when I read it back to you at the airport in Kansas City.
I don't think you were.
I think I won't touch that. I think I'll just keep on moving on. So then I did another revision on the second leg to Seattle, and by the end of it, I think we pretty much had it.
So I think, all right, this is an interesting thing as well, though. I think sometimes in a song when you write with somebody else, they're like non-negotiable things. Like, like if you feel so strongly about something, no, this is how it was written. This is what I hear. We're not touching this. And this is how that was. And I don't think I said that. But I don't think it was a lyric. I think it may have been just a melody thing.
I think it was more the melody. Yeah, it was more the melody.
And you being on the plane and not actually having access to it probably contributed to that. And I don't think I got mad at you. I was like, look.
No, you weren't mad. I was just like, no, I really like it the other way. I like it.
Which happens a lot. I mean, there are a lot of.
We were new together too, and so I've always appreciated what you've been writing, and so it's kind of like I'm fairly still new at doing co-writing, and it's like, okay, what do I go to the wall with, and what do I say? There's two ways to do it. Mine's not right. It's just one. Have
you ever had a co-write where you said, "Listen, I appreciate your input, but I'm not changing that"?
Yes.
You've had that a few times?
Yeah. I've had it. What? Oh, not very often.
Yeah.
But this was actually a guy came with a good hook, and then horrible lyrics, and it was like, I mean, seriously, like it was like this guy had never written. No,
you're talking about me? Okay.
No, this guy had never written country music, and he decided he was going to be a country music writer. And this is in Denver, and I was like,
oh, okay, good.
This ain't going to happen. This is not going to happen. Here, let's just pull the plug on this co-write. I'm going to write something else.
Yeah.
And I wrote what I heard. So, but most of the time, yeah, I mean, that's what co-writing's about. I love being able to blend people's perspectives and ideas on stuff. And, Robert, like your strengths in melody. I mean, I can do melody, but, I can't pull off vocally some of the stuff you can pull off, which then gives you all these other melodic thoughts that could be involved in a song and just make it better, So
and that's the other interesting thing too. So I have a circle of co-writers that I work with, and I think most of the ones that I work with on a regular basis. Not that I don't want to venture outside and write with other people. I don't mind that at all. But what I've discovered in a lot of cases, when you find somebody that can really balance what you do. For me, I know my strengths, but I also know my weaknesses too. And I also know, like, if I have a good melodic idea and a good hook idea, and I can stick with that, and I can make that, and I can still add things into the song within a co-write, it's great. But if I can find that person that's so good lyrically that says, yeah, that's good, but what about this? And then immediately when I hear, I'm like, oh man, yeah, I missed this. Or idea that goes a different way. And so I've discovered that I enjoy working with certain people, and I don't mind venturing outside of that. But it just like this song right here with Wasted. Wasted was one of those songs where I had the melody, kind of the idea behind it, and you just came in and hit a home run. In my opinion, it's probably one of the better songs on the entire album. This song's also one that I took. You Can't Have My Boat, and I took Wasted to Josh. So the first time I met Josh at the studio, I took both of these right away, and I just sat back going, "Oh my God, this is fantastic!"
Yeah.
I had sent you both of those songs when I left. He just gave me a rough mix of the track, or the song. But in any case, one of the better songs. It's upbeat. It's fun. It's just I think it's a really good one. I was glad that was also one that I'd taken down off the Take a Swing album, which we're about to talk about in a second. But I took that off Take a Swing, and it had been collecting dust, and so we finally decided to put that one up.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's Wasted. Check that out. I do not have a music video to that. I want to show people a quick photo here. I want to talk about this just for a second. All right, you're not going to be able to hear anything again. I'm kicking you off just for about 10 seconds or less. There goes Durand. All right, I'll add you back there, Durand. You got to see. All I could see was like your chin and stuff. That picture was taken at a songwriting retreat. We're talking about our co-writers. This summer that we held in Tennessee. It was a fantastic event where we just kind of sat around and we worked on a couple different songs. I know you've been part of several different songwriting retreats, but that one, of course, was special to me just because I invited everyone that I invited really showed up for the most part, and put together some fantastic songs that nobody's really heard yet, other than I think on the album there's a few songs from the album. Redneck Magic was born there at the retreat. This Beach Looks Good on You was born at that retreat. I think those are the only two that are on the album from that retreat. But anyway, Durand and I both write with some fantastic songwriters that will be joining me on some later podcasts. All right, we're going to move on to the next one here. Let's see where we are. All right, we've done Big Bass Problem, You Can't Have My Boat, Blessed the Gun Wasted. So we got one more here I want to talk about. All right, so listen. Now this one was out. It was a totally different version. In fact, I wish I could give it. Do you have the old version by chance, Durand? And I could put it in?
I don't know. I don't know if I do, but I mean, this is actually our newest and our oldest co-write together.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so check this out. This is called Take a Swing.
Game on the line, picture throwing 65, 2 strikes down and it was do or die. Scared as hell to stare down the barrel and be the 12-year-old that breaks the tie. Yeah, I could hear him say, that boy don't need to play. He watched a fastball cross the plate, then threw the walk of shame out that dugout gate. I heard my old man say, he said, you've got the time, boy, I got the remedy. Dust off this can't do a thing mentality. If you wanna fly, then you better find some wings. Blaze a trail, run it, brave the waters in the stormy sea. Fight the fight, dance the dance, sometimes swim for the fence. If you stumble, stand up and repeat. Oh, dream the dream, you'll never get it done if you don't take a swing.
All right, there it is. Let's take a swing. I'm going to start with that one. That was a demo that I had done, or that's not what you hear. What you heard there was not the demo. I did record a demo of that I put out a couple of years ago, and took it down off Spotify and Apple Music, and recorded the new version. But this was a kind of a Keith Urban-esque, which is probably one of my favorite artists is Keith Urban. And if you'll notice, there's a couple songs on the album that kind of stem from that that style. This is one of them. Take a Swing. Out the Blue is another one. It's kind of Keith Urban vibe. But this right here was one that was very special to me because Dad had come down with cancer, and he and my mom both have overcome cancer at different periods of time. And I remember thinking, I want to write a song that's about cancer without really just spelling it out. I wanted to kind of tell a story about someone learning a lesson from a father or a parent. And in this case, I grew up playing baseball. I played high school baseball, played college baseball, and it was just kind of a part of my life growing up. And I always thought it was kind of such a great analogy in life is you'll never hit a thing if you don't take a swing. Now you can walk. You can stand up there in the batter's box, and you can stand up there and you can take a trip if you walk. But if you ever want to be assertive, to make things happen in life, period, you have to take a swing. And that's what I wanted to tell in the story about a boy playing baseball, and kind of just stood up there and watched strike three go right by. And then, the lesson in life when he talked to his dad was, you'll never hit a thing if you don't take a swing. And it wasn't necessarily a negative way.
Yeah.
But I find that's true with anything in life. And would you agree with that, Durand? Like, this is kind
Absolutely.
of
I think that's why I like this song so much, because it really is. It's kind of a universal thing. It's like you're preaching without preaching on it too. It's like I need to remind myself. I can't wait for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
I got to step up, and I think listening to this one of the things too. I don't know if you remember, but it's like at the beginning, we kind of like you're talking about with Gunn. It's like, okay, how are we going to end this movie? And it could be real easy to end the movie with, learning from the memory of your father who's passed or something. But we didn't want to, again, trying to be subtle in the way you say it, but to be able to bring the end of that sad chapter into a positive chapter by talking about how your boy is learning from your dad. I think that's just like, to me, that just put the bow on the story for me.
Yeah.
I think that was.
I agree. And I think that, we try to paint that story, which it could have been written 100 different ways.
Sure.
Take a swing. And I can't remember which song I heard where I heard that phrase. It's like, I want to put that into a song, which is kind of how a lot of things happen,
Sure.
Especially if anybody is listening to this as a songwriter, that what I'm talking about, when you're sitting around dinner and somebody says like 4 or 5 words, you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then you have to put it in your phone right away before you forget, which happens a lot, which is what happened with this song as well. But I think it's true. Like I've here lately for me, and especially in the past 2 years, I don't think it's I don't think it's something that people don't know about me. But one thing is that I retired as a teacher for a little while. I start back tomorrow, but I remember thinking, I'm getting older. I don't have the 25-year-old me is still there to some degree, but the older I've got, the more life experiences I've had, and the more things that I can put into a song. But also, unfortunately, and it's just the truth thing, artists don't really start out hitting it big or making significant waves in the music industry beginning at age 50, which is what happened to me this year. I hit 50 and for most people, it's like, well, you need to be slowing down and doing this. And, I felt like I've got a little bit left to take a swing at this whole thing. And I've, a couple times this year I've missed, I swung and missed. I'll take that back. I've passed the last 20, 30 years. I feel like that's all I've done is swing and miss. But I think it's true in life for anybody. You have to be assertive and you have to go out and claim things and go get it. And if you want it, go get it. It's not going to fall in your lap. And that's true with, a job or something that you're really looking forward to in life. You definitely need to go. Don't wait on something to come to you.
That's true. That's real true.
So anyway, we've got just a few minutes left here. We got just a few minutes left. So for those of you who hung out with us, the entire show, the entire podcast, thank you. Durand and I have been talking about doing this for quite a while now. I'm sure that we'll do this again really soon. The album's out there. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere. There's a few music videos that are out there as well that are songs on the album, from Redneck Magic and Big Bass Problem. Even You Can't Have My Boat. There is a video. It's just a performance video, but you may be seeing yourself in some of those videos. You may be there in those. Because I just took a lot of footage from live shows. Daddy's Shadow. There's a music video that we had a lot of people contribute to on that. You can check that on YouTube as well. I think as far as music videos that goes, there's a lyric video that was put together for Heaven Has a Radio. I'll be having Paul Kofer on here very soon to talk about that song. It's a lot of people's favorites. But do me a favor, if you've made it this far, you're one of the folks that's been listening in. Just comment below. What's your favorite song? I'd like to know, not just for personal gratification. We need to know where we're going to go next.
Yeah.
After I really need to know which songs to pick. I feel like, without influencing anybody, You Can't Have My Boat was probably the easy pick just because I've had it for so long. I've heard a lot of people say Heaven Has a Radio. There's a lot of, it could go several different ways, but I do want to know, so I got to figure out what to do. Anyway, Durand, you have anything to add before
No, man, I just appreciate you taking the afternoon to talk. I mean, it's nice to spend time with you, because when you're living where you are and I'm living where I am, you got to be pretty intentional about it.
Yeah.
It's been fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. It has been a lot of fun. We got some new stuff to be coming out soon, one of these days. Durand does have a song that I'll be recording probably within the next couple of months. I can't wait to do that. That's it. There's Butch said Take a Swing was one of his favorites. And there's an older version of that too, Butch. I'm sure you probably remember. Butch, by the way, is I was talking about being in education. Butch gave me my first job back 27 years ago, I guess. And Butch, good old guy. He's a musician as well. Plays steel guitar, so we'll get him up on the stage one of these days pretty soon. We got Philip Roberts is joining. There's Philip. Philip played drums for me the past week, and Philip is actually going to be in the music video that's coming out at the end of January or somewhere around 18. He is actually in that music video, so I can't wait for people to see Phil just tearing up the drums in that video. Aubrey says somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going. Well, good. What's your favorite? Well, you got one, Durand?
My favorite?
Yeah. Have you listened to the entire album yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Just
Gosh. I mean, I hadn't really gotten to know the title cut until this shoot. I really like that. I really like that.
Well, that video is a great video. I cannot wait for people to see that music video. It was shot out in the middle of nowhere in the biggest bonfire I've ever seen in my life. It was something to behold.
Something you could see from the moon.
I'm telling you, like it was. You wait and see. Wait till you see that video. All right. Well, let's see. Butch said, "Thanks for the props." Out group. No, I don't know about that. Professionally, I never made it past PE teacher, science teacher, Butch. In case you're wondering, or head football coach or principal. But anyway, Hey, listen, man. I love you, man. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
a part of the journey. I'll have some other songwriters joining me pretty soon on the next podcast, kind of talk about their songs that they contributed. These 5 are some really good ones. You guys check it out, share it. The song's doing really well on Spotify right now, and Apple Music. It's been fun to sit back and watch it tick a little bit, and without promoting any of it. It's been just people listening and sharing. So that's how it goes. Sometimes you can put all the money into it you want to, and if it's not good songs, it'll never last. But I think we have some good songs on here on this album. So anyway, it's been about an hour's worth of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sue and Kathy, for hanging out with us. Aubrey, for being awesome. And I'll see you again soon, man.
All right.
We'll talk later. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.